What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Let me just start off by saying pardon and excuse me for being just a tad late on this information, but I was actually out of town this morning. I didn't get back in until about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm just going to go ahead and catch you guys up in case you have not heard. Now, if you've been watching my channel or you've been watching any of the other big YouTubers, any of the small ones, whatever, just being around on the interwebs and Yu-Gi-Oh forums or anything related to Yu-Gi-Oh, you know that there is going to be a return of Synchros. Konami announced in Judgment of the Light. They're bringing them back. And after all, it does make sense. It's not just a mechanic that people like. It's a mechanic that people have proven they're not going to stop playing, whether it's splashing, Synchros and or splashing tuners and tuner support cards into new decks such as Diva and Mermaid Atlanteans, or just old decks that constantly see play such as Six Samurais and Blackwings, decks that are heavily reliant on the abilities of their Synchros. It just seems like one of those things that they really shouldn't just kill off. So Konami announced that they're bringing them back. They're going to be stronger than ever, and now we know 5 of them that are going to be and Judgment of the Light. Now, I'm probably going to mispronounce the hell out of some of these names, so please bear with me and keep in mind that these are brand new cards just announced today. The pronunciations are going to get messed up. So we'll start things off with Phantom Beast playing Concoruda. It's a wind machine synchro monster. It's level 7, 2400 attack, 1200 defense. Requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. While this card is face up on the field, tokens you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. If this card on the field is destroyed by your opponent and sent to the graveyard, you can activate this effect by tributing all tokens you control. Select 1 level 4 or lower Phantom Beast plain monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So this is obviously going to be theme related because, it summons a specific monster from the graveyard. I like any Synchros that replace themselves upon death. That's first off. If my Synchro dies and I get to summon another guy, well, I mean, that I get part of my investment back. I had heard a rumor that Konami was going to start making more token support cards, and this obviously seems to be one of those. You look at the fact that this guy protects tokens from battle and card effects. I don't know if them being protected from card effects is going to be that big of a deal. I can't see your opponent summoning like Dark on Dragon or Dragonfly and like targeting, your tokens, but tokens are susceptible to being destroyed by battle by pretty much anything in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So being able to protect those guys from, battle is definitely nice. And then, I mean, if you just tribute your token and you get the effect of special summoning him, considering that tokens don't really create the type of advantage that is game-changing generally, I don't really see that as that big of a deal. So this card is actually pretty decent. Level 7 can be a little tricky to make with 2 monsters, but, we'll see how the Phantom Beast playing, that theme works out, and, a lot of playability associated with him will be tied to that theme. Second, we have the Miss Bird Klawalas. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. It's a wind bird synchro monster. It's a effect level 3, 0 attack, 2300 defense. So just to stop right there for a second, I think that this might be the first level 3 synchro in all of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is just, I mean, like crazy overdue. If I'm mistaken, then, forgive me, but I don't remember any other level 3 synchros. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like, how do you make this guy? Oh, Formula Synchron on the field. Treeborn Frog. Ooh, okay. It's a tuner, or excuse me, it requires 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monster. Once per turn, you can activate this effect by selecting 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Until the end phase, the selected monster becomes 0 attack, and its effects are negated. While this card isn't going to do a ton himself, he's actually a real good support card. I mean, you just think about the fact that you summon him in defense. He has a pretty solid 2300 defense, and you can use this effect every single turn, which means your opponent can't invest a monster on the board that they can't use to run over this guy. Otherwise, you could just potentially use this effect. Their monster's attack goes to 0. It has no effect, and you just run that shit over with whatever else you can summon. So, like, your opponent basically can't summon monsters on the board unless they can get over this guy or unless they can stop any type of attack. Because, I mean, hell, I'll just throw a fucking Treeborn Frog in attack mode and run your monster over. I mean, it's just, I think this card's pretty good. It's going to be, this card's playability is going to be tied to, the fact that I don't think that we have any level 3s that are being played. So it's like, how are we going to be able to summon level 3s? Like, it's going to just be the ease of summoning this guy. We have the next card, Balmong the Underworld Fighter. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, this sounds like a dark card. And dark cards are usually broken, when Konami announces that they're going to release better Synchros and all this stuff. So it's a Dark Warrior Synchro effect. It's level 4, 2100 attack. We don't currently know what the defense is, but I mean, that'll come out soon. I'm not sure that that's going to be ultra relevant anyway. It requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. When this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, it seems like they're tying that into everything now, you can select 1 level 4 or lower monster other than this card in your graveyard and special summon it. Okay, so I like this because it's just, like, it's so simple. I mean, and this is going to be cool because you got to think about plants, you know, dandelion tokens, you know, relatively easy to make level 4s. I mean, this could be like one of those cards that could potentially, you know, take away some of the playability of Armory Arm. You know what I mean? I look at this card, it's just like, I like it because it's simple. If it runs into a Mirror Force, or if your opponent torrentials it, you just get another monster to replace it. So it's like, it's really not that difficult to understand. I think that this card is pretty playable, and especially for the Synchro level 4, I mean, your only other options are really Armory Arm or this guy. And this guy, Armory Arm has more offensive capabilities, but this guy replaces himself when he dies, so I definitely like that. Next, we have Armades, the Keeper of Illusions. I'm not going to lie, when I saw the name started with an A and then I saw Keeper of, I thought, holy shit, they turned Adrius into a freaking Synchro. And it's weird because it's level 5, Adrius is rank 5, but the effects are actually quite different. I'm thinking maybe Adrius was like one of the cards that influenced this guy's creation or whatever. It's a light fiend, which is weird because you don't really see that many light fiends in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Outside of a, what do you call them things? Fabled, yeah. It has a 2300 attack. We don't know what the defense is yet. It probably won't be that relevant. It requires a 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. And the effect is, if this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any traps, spells, or monster effects until the end of the damage step. So what does that mean? That means that you can't use anything like Mirror Force, you can't use Deep Prison on my monster, you can't use Honest in the battle phase or Collude. That also means that if you want to use something like Necro Gardener or Lance, those little crazy battle phase tricks, basically any of those Horn of the Phantom Beast, damage step, like power-up cards, you have to use them before I declare an attack, because once I declare an attack, it is too late. So this card is this is one of those cards where I can see this being splashed into like a multitude of decks, because this is one of those cards that can just push for game. I mean, if your opponent has like 1 back row and they haven't activated it when you summon this guy, there's pretty good chance that it's like a Deep Prison or a Mirror Force. You're playing a deck like Mermaid Atlanteans and you need to attack over something like a Spirit Reaper for game. I mean, I want this card in my corner. You know what I mean? So I look at this and I think this might be the best one so far, just because it's generic. It shuts down effects. Your opponent can't use Honest and Collude. Collude's at 3 now, guys. You know, this shit might be relevant. And then the last one is Super Telepath Behemoth. And this is a Psychic monster, so that's really cool. It's Earth Psychic. It is level 6, 2400 attack, 1800 defense. The defense is actually, or excuse me, the attack is actually really solid. It requires a tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. The effect is, after damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can remove that monster and this card from play. So this guy kind of reminds me of like a Grand Molish type card as far as the applications as to where you're going to want to use it. You know, just attack into like a Zen Mains, attack into you know what I mean, like a Gachi. If you're trying to push for game or whatever, just remove those cards. Also, if your opponent would try to run it over with like something really big, you know, like a Stardust or a Grapha, just activate the effect and banish both cards. So I mean, it's basically just DD Warrior Lady in a Synchro. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty cool. You can get rid of stall cards like Spirit Reaper and Marshmallow, and then if your opponent tries to run it over with something bigger, you just remove it too. So I can't really see you attacking over a small monster that isn't a stall monster and removing it for like no reason, unless you have like Return to a Different Dimension or something like that and you just want to attack twice. But you know, all these cards seem pretty good. You know what I mean? Telepath Behemoth might be a little more situational, but you know, Armades is really good. You know, I like the fact that Balmong replaces itself easily. We're getting a level 3 Synchro, which to my knowledge we don't have. So, you know, they're printing out some pretty decent cards. And again, there's no inclination that these are going to be the only Synchros in this set. These are just the ones that we know about. So I want to know what your guys' opinions is. Thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribe, like the video, and if you're new to the Capital G Show, gonna have some links to some of my most recent videos, maybe that you haven't seen. And the left side, I've got obviously the ban list that came out earlier this week and talking about that. And then on the right side, we've got a reaction of wind-up players to the ban list, and they seem none too happy. Thank you guys as always.